introduce first off Dr. Curley Bonds, who is our Chief Medical Officer for the Department of Mental Health. He's going to be here on stage with us as one of the panelists. We also have Council Member Eddie Martinez, who's also going to be part of our panel here. We also, I'd like to welcome over Mr. Bryan Sandoval, Dr. Bryan Sandoval, who's also going to be part of our panel here as well. So thank you all, I appreciate it, and please join us up on stage. So again, thank you panelists for being here and being part of our wonderful event here for our 2024 Men's Health Awareness event. Maybe we can start off a little bit about with you introducing yourself and tell us a little bit about what you do and what your roles are.
Hey everyone, good morning. I'm Dr. Bryan Sandoval. I recently graduated medical school, and I will be starting with Ultimate as a provider here in Southgate. So I hope to see you guys there. I'm a local guy, grew up in Norwalk and Downey, and right down the way. I still to this day play soccer here, Southgate Park. So like I said, local guy. Here, very grateful to be able to serve my community, and I really appreciate you guys having me here today. Thank you.
I guess I'll introduce myself. My name is Jaime Gomez. I am the Service Area 7 Peer Resource Center Supervisor. Thank you all for being here.
Hi everyone, my name is Eddie Martinez. I'm the Executive Director of Latino Equality Alliance. We do work with the LGBTQ youth and families in the Latino community, and I've been doing 25 years of social justice around public health, and you also mentioned I'm a council member for the city of Huntington Park. Thank you.
Hello, buenos dias todos. I'm Dr. Curley Bonds. I'm a psychiatrist, and I'm the Chief Medical Officer for the Department of Mental Health. I oversee the clinical operations for the department, and I'm delighted to be here. And I also want to give a special shout out, gracias al Señor Manuel Rojas. Mi trabajo hermano. He's my work brother, so I am here because of him, and I want to thank him for bringing me to the community to spend some time with you all today.
Thank you for being here. Thank you for that. So, given that June is Men's Health Awareness Month, I'm curious, we could hear from you just some ideas on how you think we as a community can help promote the overall health and well-being of our young men, our boys, and our members of the community.
So I'd say doing things like this, it's a beautiful turnout. I mean, I'm so happy to see the resources that are, being exposed here for all our community members. First and foremost, I think it all begins with education, right? Just being aware of not just of, mental health and what it all entails, but taking it a step further and, getting to know what resources we have in our community. So I think just education and events like this are a really great start, to learning about mental health.
Wonderful, thank you. Yeah.
I think for myself, trying to find creative ways to get the word out. Obviously, do some homework on social media or online to find out what are the top issues facing your community, whether you're from, whether you're Latina or African American or LGBT. Find out what are the top issues, and then use the platform of social media just to help to get the word out. I think that's the best. It's one of the creative ways to educate folks for this month.
I think it's a great question. In my mind, the biggest thing that we need to do is to have more conversations about the whole body health, and that includes mental health. Definitely, like my colleague said, events like this help us to get on the same page, where we reduce stigma, we bring mental health out of the closet into the open, and we give people permission to have those difficult decisions about, or conversations about when we might be having challenges and feeling like it's okay to seek help. Because so often in Black and brown communities, people wait until it's too late. And we want to try to do something that's preventative earlier in the course of someone's development to give them the support and the resources they need. But first of all, we have to let them know that these topics are okay to talk about.
Thank you.
Great, thank you guys. I have a question for you guys. We hear a lot about the word prevention. I was wondering if you guys can share some thoughts on what you feel prevention might mean for men or young boys, or what we're doing for prevention.
I think the word prevention when it comes to mental health is it's a holistic approach. It's not one glove that fits all, and it comes in different shapes and forms. It could be having a conversation, having a plática with someone. It could be doing some gardening. It could be doing some exercise. There's different levels of prevention, and just know which is the right one for you is the key to having good mental health.
Thank you for that.
Yeah, like my colleague mentioned, you know, it's there's multiple ways, you know, to prevent. But I kind of keep going back to it. It's just, you know, education and, like my colleague mentioned, normalizing these things, just becoming aware, becoming educated on the risks that there are out there, the challenges that we might face as individuals and as a community. Because when you're aware of it, you know, it allows you the opportunity to take action if necessary. And so a big part of prevention for me is just education, getting to learn and normalize a lot of these different things that we all face. And then, you know, being able to learn what the resources are that can help us all.
If we think about mental well-being and wellness in the prevention sense, I put it in the same context as, say, other healthcare, like the dentist. Most people, if they have resources, they go and get an annual checkup to make sure they don't have cavities or to check their gums. That's kind of normalized. I think it's also true in physical health. You go in and you have your blood pressure checked every year. You get your weight. You monitor how your eyesight is. But in mental health, people don't understand that those same metrics are out there, and to catch them early on, to know about things like sleeping, eating, behavioral changes, especially in young people, to be observant as a parent, to notice that something doesn't seem right, something has changed, but waiting until it gets to the point where the person needs to go see a doctor or a hospital, that's not prevention, that's primary care. But primary prevention is really understanding from the beginning that you can recognize warning signs. And for us as a Department of Mental Health, we try to be in schools where people are still developing, work with teachers, work with parents, to do a lot of education around what are some of the warning signs, but also to give people alternatives so that they never get to the place where they're out in the streets or they're experimenting with substances, to give them resources and activities. Like here in the park, there's a Parks After Dark program to try to engage young people in things that are healthy alternatives to, say, getting into bad behaviors, drugs, or alcohol. Prevention is really about giving people alternatives early in their life so that they know how to stay well.
Thank you for that. And as we're talking about prevention, I'm curious, like in your experiences and your roles and in your lives as well, what are some of the barriers that you've seen maybe that are getting in the way or discourage men and boys from reaching out and seeking those types of services and supports?
You know, for me, that's a great question, and I'm glad that we're discussing this because it's huge in our community, especially in the, you know, Black and Brown communities. You know, and I know very well, coming from, you know, a Hispanic background myself, that the whole machismo thing, it's very, it is quite an issue, you know. You know, for us, at least in the Hispanic culture, there's a big stigma when it comes to mental health. You know, and that's why I'm personally very grateful for events like this, where we can kind of just talk about it like we are now, just normalizing, you know. Before we're men, before we're women, we're humans, right? With all of these different components and these necessities to us, you know, like my colleagues are mentioning, we're physical, we're spiritual, we're also mental, you know, and it's unfortunate that we don't talk about the mental aspect of it often enough, because it's a lot of times one of the most important aspects of it all. You know, if we're unstable mentally, everything else can kind of go to shambles, right? You know, our health kind of goes to shambles. We don't want to take our medications. We don't want to take care of ourselves. We don't want to get out and get sunlight. You know, so it's very important to talk about these things and let people know that it's very normal. It's a part of, you know, how we are as humans. And, you know, you think about our youth, and for them, a lot of them, it's not the cool thing to do. You know, we've all been there at that very young age. You know, you're kind of trying to find your way, trying to find who you are, right? And, you know, a lot of times, unfortunately, we kind of put up in front that, you know, we're too cool for this, we're too cool for that. And unfortunately, you know, mental health isn't one of those things where we can really do that, right? You know, we got to be able to normalize it and be able to, you know, know, when we need help within ourselves, but to be able to observe warning signs amongst our friends and family. So I think, the short answer is, the machismo, the stigma, being cool. I think those are barriers, as well as not having, maybe someone to talk to, which is great again, that we have these resources. Myself at Ultimate, everyone here has provided some sort of resource that you can go and reach out to talk to somebody. So, just normalizing the conversation and getting to know your resources, I think it's going to take us, leaps and bounds moving forward.
Thank you.
Yeah, I mean, definitely I think there's like a fear out there among our brothers to go and figure out why you kind of have this bump or this pain, and then we kind of wait because we think it's going to go away, and it doesn't go away. So I think what we need to do to counter that is we need to start teaching our youth the importance to get annual checkups. It's okay, because the key thing is if you keep getting a checkup every year and you normalize it, that's the key word, then you won't have this fear, and you will be empowered, because it's about what you know about your health, knowing your family history, and taking any preventative measures can tell you how you're going to live 30, 40 years from now. But you've got to get annual checkups, and that's what we're going to teach our youth.
I think one of the biggest barriers is just knowledge about the fact that well-being is so important. It's critical to our livelihoods as people. And some people use the barrier of, I don't have enough money. But if you think about events like today that are free to the public, or you think about going out to nature, taking a walk, or even just doing a workout, you don't necessarily have to have a fancy gym membership. A lot of the workouts I do are just with my body weight, and believe me, it's a pretty good workout. So you can do things on your own, you can do things with your family. I think spending time, making sure that you have that protected time to do self-care and wellness and not care about what other people think. I think while social media is great, one of the things we've seen with it is that people that spend too much time engaged with their devices or a screen, they're not interacting with others. And there might be this sense of missing out, the sense of loneliness. I would say that as much as social media helps keep us informed, it has caused some silos in terms of people being at their home and at their computer. They might feel like they're interacting, but there's nothing that beats in real life interactions. So I think we have to be careful to be mindful that we're engaging with other people, that we're not spending too much time alone, that we're interacting and getting out of our minds, because sometimes the negative thoughts that we have can cripple us. So I believe as a community we just need to understand more the importance of social connectedness. The Surgeon General has talked about a loneliness epidemic. I think especially amongst young people, they might be surrounded by their media, but when you talk to them about who are their friends, how much do they go out and play, then they're silenced. So encouraging them to interact in real time is really, really critical.
Thank you, brother.
So just to share a little bit, me being a Latino father who grew up in the inner city, I know that I often struggle with realizing what self-care was. And I know now that it has to do a lot with like cultural stigma that's within the community, the Latino community. What do you all feel as professionals we can do better to help reduce that stigma for individuals like me or that might be here today?
So self-care is going to take a different form for each person depending on their interests, their ability level, their background, and their resources. I can just speak for myself. The type of self-care that I think is important is to go for a long walk with my dog. When he starts looking at me like, hey, why not I get into love? I know that it's time for me to get out and go about. So taking care of a pet. Taking care of myself has to do with making sure that I get enough sleep, because that's one thing that tends to go. I know a lot of people in both Black and brown communities tend to work and overwork. When you're not at the job, you're at home, you're taking care of the youngsters, but you need to have some time to unplug and rest and relax. And it's really important. The average amount of sleep per night is 6 to 8 hours. If you're getting less than that, that's a red flag. That means you need to try to find some way to get over the not sleeping. Making sure that you're eating right, taking time to eat whole foods and vegetables, avoiding processed foods, because all of those things, not only do they affect your mind, your body, but they also affect your mind. We know that there are certain nutrients that if you're missing out on, you're not going to be able to live your best life. So I think a part of it is just the basics. It's not rocket science. Getting enough sleep, eating healthy, getting exercise, spending time with other people. It doesn't have to be something that's fancy, but if you do have those resources, to go out to a spa from time to time, treat yourself to some self-care.
I would just say continue to have conversations and just be very open about your health. Like I always tell people, I have mental health. They look at me like, are you crazy? No, I have mental health. We all have mental health. People think just a word saying mental is crazy. No, we all have it. It's in us right now. So if we keep being vocal about it, then we get to normalize it. So it's about just keep having that advocacy through being vocal.
And I appreciate you saying that, because I think that's one of the efforts we're trying to do here is really talk about mental health and well-being, right? In our field, and Dr. Bonds knows this, I mean, we talk a lot about mental illness and services, but we oftentimes forget to promote mental health and well-being. And this is part of what we're trying to do with these events, and really bringing the community together, bringing resources, but also doing a lot of fun activities that are going to promote our own self-care, our own well-being, and our own mental health. So I'm really glad that you brought that up. But to my point, I wanted to bring also is Father's Day's coming up, right? And happy early Father's Day to all of the dads out there. So, as we're preparing for Father's Day, I'm curious to hear from you. Maybe just what does Father's Day mean to you? Like, what meaning does that have for you?
I mean, I'm not a father yet, but I mean, for my father, it's just letting him have his day, you know, whatever that might be that he wants to do, whatever is good for his mental health, right? If we're on the topic of mental health, whatever relaxes him and brings him joy is something that, you know, myself and my siblings like to do for him, and something that I think every father should, you know, take advantage of. You know, it's unfortunate that oftentimes we only make it, you know, once a year, but, you know, hopefully, you know, moving forward we can try and make, you know, not just Father's Day an annual thing, but, you know, kind of something where the fathers can go ahead and make sure that they take time for themselves and take care of their mental health, like my colleagues have mentioned.
For me, I lost my dad about a year ago, but, you know, he's going to be almost 92. But I was blessed in the remaining past 7 years that I get to spend a lot of times playing dominoes with my dad. And it's important as our parents become elderly, you know, they also experience depression. So it's so important, you know, we have a role to make sure that we're there for them, play games with them, have a conversation with them, and just really enjoy this chapter in their lives. So.
This is kind of a loaded question for me because I know that my relationship with my father has evolved over the years. When I was younger, first of all, I was lucky to have a father. And for those of us who are still in that situation, mine is 87 years old. He lives in southern Alabama, but we talk every Sunday. We spend, if it might be 5 minutes or 15, sometimes it's an hour. It's important for me to have what I call respect. And to me, that's really about what Father's Day is all about. It's about paying respect to those people that help shape us, help mold us. And if they aren't there, it's like nothing else in our lives can have that same powerful bond. I think my relationship with my father grew considerably when I lost my mother, because then I appreciated the importance of what role a parent plays, not only in what they do when you're growing up, but later in your life. They're the role models. And to show them that you really appreciate them in some way or another, even if it's just spending time to pick up the phone, send them a card. To me, Father's Day is really about paying homage to those people that help bring us into the world.
Thank you for that.
You know, it's an interesting way to segue. Again, I just became a father. My little girl's 4 years old. I lost my father a few years ago to homelessness. And I know that was tough for me because we didn't have such a great relationship. But now that I'm a dad, Father's Day for me has become, as funny as it sounds, whatever my family wants to do. It's just a day where they feel good, right? But it's interesting too because as a dad, right, I start to realize what type of resources do we really have out there for men who are struggling and seeking help, right? Father. So I want to ask you guys, like, what type of resources do we have, and what do you feel we need to support them? fathers as myself or like my dad. Again, like I said, he has to be homeless on the street. So yeah, the question is, what type of resources do you feel we can have for our community to kind of share?
I think we need more nonprofits in our community that provide spaces to support just the overall well-being of our men. It's hard. I know they struggle. They worry about putting food on the plate, paying the bills. I know it's a partnership with their wife because motherhood's a full-time job as well. But for that, sometimes they don't have spaces where they can kind of just take time out. And as you know, and I was chatting with somebody earlier today, if you go through all the parks here, you always see a man sitting in his car because he needs a time out. And so if we could provide other alternative spaces where men can just go and chill, take time out, just give them that space. So if we can be more nonprofits and provide full services, let's do it.
There are both formal and informal resources. I would agree that we need to have plenty of nonprofits. Our department has contracts with over 1,000 different organizations. Many of them have programs like Parent Partners, where parents are given education about the skills they need to be the best parent possible. There are also other things like in our schools, we have community access platforms that operate their access points for people to get information and resources. Just to know that there is help out there when you need it. And again, as we talked about earlier, the preventative part is to get the education so that you don't wait until it's too late to seek support and to seek help.
Yeah, just like my colleague said it beautifully. Prevention, having a safe space to be able to, or for men to be able to go, and quite frankly for women and the youth as well, to have these safe spaces. And again, getting to know your resources in your community, being aware of, the opportunities that there are for you to, better yourself in every way. So, my colleague said it beautifully, just being aware, having the resources, having the space, I think these are all going to serve us very well.
Thank you for that. I know we have a lot of questions for you, but I'm curious if you all have any messages for our community here about any type of services or like just advice for folks that are maybe thinking about seeking help, like you were referencing, maybe sitting in the car and just needing that break. If you could talk to that person, like what would you want to tell that person?
Well, I think the one thing I would be remiss if I didn't tell you all about and say in my role is that I wouldn't want anybody to leave this event without knowing how to access resources. You can get some information by walking around and talking to the different booths and the vendors here because many of them represent agencies that work very hard to help this community stay healthy and well. But 988 is a resource number for anybody who's having a crisis. If you find yourself triggered by something, you're feeling like you want to hurt yourself, or you're feeling like you can't make it on, 988 is the national emergency number that's kind of like 911. Everybody should have it in their memory banks or in their phone. And then for the Department of Mental Health, our resources are available through our website. You can find them locally in terms of what zip code you live in, dmh.lacounty.gov, or if you just do a Google search for Department of Mental Health, we will come up. And we are essentially everywhere in all 8 service areas of the county, but particularly this service area, I have to give a shout out to all of the staff and volunteers who are here today on a Saturday. This isn't a day that they would normally work. So shout out to the people in the blue shirts and the green shirts, because they're really doing, I think, a phenomenal job. And I want to recognize the importance of having community-based events. When I come here, I learn something, not only about mental health and what resources are there, but about this service area. And I'm really grateful to Mandy to give me the opportunity to come down and to see the dancers and learn about the indigenous culture. Because Los Angeles is a beautiful quilt. It's a wonderful tapestry, but you don't experience that if you stay in your own yard. You need to go out and explore and experience other things. That's one of the biggest ways that we can increase our intelligence, is by experiencing and interacting with things that are not familiar to us. So I want to encourage everyone to continue to be on that journey to see what can I do to learn more about my community, how I can interact with the community, and how I can give back to the community. It's all about people, purpose, and place. This is a wonderful place. We have some great people, and our purpose today is to make sure that we lift up the voices around reducing stigma and making sure that everybody has the resources and support they need to be healthy.
I would advocate, in addition to all that, I would advocate smile to a stranger, to a brother. Just smile. You don't know what they're going through, and sometimes a smile is all they need to get them through the day. And I always, to brothers that I don't know, when I have conversation with them, I just say, thank you, brother. Have a good day, brother. I don't know your story, but my calling you brother is letting me know that we're in solidarity and I support you spiritually, and I think that's what I can do on a daily basis. Thank you.
Well said. Very, very well said. And I like the way you guys put it earlier. Just who cares what anybody thinks, right? Like I mentioned earlier, before we're men, before we're women, before we're councilmen or physicians, whatever it may be, we're all human, right? And it's very normal to feel vulnerable sometimes. It's very normal to need help. Oftentimes we get too caught up in the things that we need to get done, and that we lose sight of our own mental health and our own well-being. So I think one of the biggest points is just be aware, have your radar, as far as how you're doing, not only physically and spiritually, but mentally as well. Think about what are your day-to-day thoughts. Are they good? Are they bad? Think about your stress levels. Do you feel happy? Do you feel sad? Just be aware, of how you're feeling, mentally and physically, and just never be afraid to ask for help. Never be afraid to ask for help. It's very much a very normal and common thing, and oftentimes maybe you're going to be that one person who goes to seek for help, or that one person who sets an example of going to seek help that's going to really trigger many other people to do the same. Sometimes we just need someone to, kind of lead the way, and you never know if you might be that one person to do that for someone else, or like my brother here mentioned, you smile at someone, you might be the one who sets off, multiple more smiles, throughout others' day, and you can always, be that single domino that creates good for so many others. So, never be afraid, never be ashamed. I speak here, as a new employee of Ultimate, we're always here as primary care providers. We're always someone that you guys can come to for whatever it is that you guys need. And, we're more than happy to be here to support you guys in any way that we can. So, never be afraid. Just, who cares what anyone says, and just seek the help when you need it. Thank you for that.
If I may add, shameless plug, I'm never the one to shy away from an opportunity to promote what we're doing here. So I'm very proud in saying that Service Area 7 has paved the way in using social media, our website, to organize our resources, and also to share our partners' content. Eddie has been on our podcast for our Service Area 7. A lot of the partners here have been very engaged with us through social media. You guys can find us by simply looking up LACDMH SA7, which is our handle on Instagram and also on Facebook. But definitely feel free to look us up, seek the resources, seek the help. Like they said, smile to somebody. Calling people brother goes a long way, really touches their heart, and just really glad to have you guys out here. But again, shameless plug, look us up, LACDMH SA7, and you'll find all our resources, you'll find content from today, and you'll find a lot of the great activities that we're going to be having in the future.
Thank you for that. And as he does that shameless plug, we also got to give Mr. Gomez some credit, because we were able to move into like the new digital era because of the work that he's done with our service area and through our community resource center. Thank you for bringing us into the conversation. With that said, I do want to thank all of our panelists. Thank you so much for taking time to be here. Please join me in thanking our panelists here. They took time today to be out here, share some great insights. So thank you all again. I don't know if you have any last words you'd like to share before we conclude.
Just thank you all for being here, and I'll put a plug in for my social media because my very weak X following can grow. MB_bonds, and if you follow me, you'll find out about other events and the things that the department is up to.
would just say, live life with a lot of love and kindness.
Yes. Likewise, and just really quick, also, don't forget to check up on one another, your family, your friends, your loved ones. I tell a lot of patients, post-pandemic, there's a lot of people going through things, from our elderly, being in isolation to even our youth. So just don't forget to send a quick call, send a quick text message, check up on everyone, and live happy, live healthy. Thank you guys for having me here.
Awesome, thank you again. And before you leave, we do have Herman here from Supervisor Han's office, who would like to present you all with some certificates, just our way of saying thank you. Thank you for taking time to be here and sharing all this information and insight with our community. So thank you guys.